Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're having a fantastic one. A great morning, afternoon, or evening, or nighttime. Whenever, however this video is finding you, I hope that it finds you in a good spot, a good place, and I appreciate you stopping in. Listen, I don't want to take too much time, but we're diving into a full album listen of urban hymns by the Verve. Third studio album by them, released in 1997. We're listening to this because this was suggested and sponsored by Joe. Joe, thank you so much for the recommendation. Thank you for the over-the-top support with this. I really appreciate that. And this had also been suggested by quite a few other people here as well. Tamcon, actually you said this is not a favorite of one of your albums, but Atlantean Truth, you said that this is one of your favorite bands and a great album from the band. Lord Elpis, you as well. And then Yomo. So you also mentioned this one. So thank you guys so much for the recommendation as well. Okay, so with the Verve, we've listened to New Decade from them in a somewhat recent time here. And then I know their song Bittersweet Symphony. So that's the extent of our knowledge with the Verve. And funnily enough, the first track on the album here is Bittersweet Symphony. So, okay, we're going to jump into this with a track at least that I'm familiar with. And after that, no idea. So it'll all be new, uncharted territory as we move forward there after this track. But as always, I appreciate you guys being here and just stopping in, whether you're here for a minute or whether you're here for the whole enchilada, as they say. Thank you just for popping through. To get the plugs out the way, press that like button if you don't mind. Even if you're leaving, like right before, just press the like button. Come back. Press the like button, get it out the way if you don't mind. The Buy Me a Coffee is there. If you'd like to sponsor a song request, you can absolutely do that there. The Patreon's available for exclusive content. And that's all I got for you. What do you got for me? Nothing. I just want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the music, because that's what I'm going to do. Listen, before we dive into this, one more thing. Joe, you said that this was your favorite album from this particular year, 1997. I wonder what would my favorite album from 1997 be if I had to think about that. If I go to my album list on RYM, can I find it by release year? I can find it by release year. You know, the people that are here for just the music are skipping this, and that's completely fine. This is just me. How do I do release year? 1997. 1997. Let's see. They got some good ones here. Ooh, Deftones Around the Fur. Okay. Not a huge fan of Science from Incubus. There's some decent ones here. Some of these albums I actually never listened to. But when I was younger, I added them. Like, I have not listened to Faith No More album of the year. I did not listen to Godspeed You Black Emperor. Portishead. Ooh, that might be the one. Or Symphony X. This is on my wish list. These are not ones that I've listened to. This is on my wish list as well. I would have to go Portishead. Out of these albums I see here, Portishead would definitely be the one. All right, now that we've cleared that up, let's go ahead and listen to the album. Let's go ahead and dive on into urban hymns. That's what you're here for. That's what I'm here for. We're going to start off with the first track, Bittersweet Symphony, which, like I said, is a track that I'm familiar with, but we'll go ahead and revisit it. This sip of coffee is to you. That takes you back, man.
it's a bittersweet symphony that's live, trying to make ends meet. You're a slave to money, then you die. I'll take you down the only road I've ever been down. You know, the one that takes you to the places where all the things meet, yeah.
It's a good line. I never paid attention to the lyrics.
No change, I can change, I can change, I can change, but I'm here in my mold. I am here in my mold, but I'm a million different people from one day to the next. I can't change my mold. No, 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 no. Have you ever been down? Well, I've never prayed, but tonight I'm on my knees, yeah.
I got a guitar on the side kind of plays Dusty West.
I need to hear some sounds that recognize the pain in me, yeah. I let the melody shine, let it cleanse my mind. I feel free now. But the airwaves are clean and there's nobody singing to me now. No change, I can change, I
When that
can
train rises up,
change, I
you
can
feel
change, but I'm here in my mold. I am here in my mold, and I'm a million different people from one day to the next. I can't change my mold. No, 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 no. Have you ever been? I can change it. No, I can change it. 'Cause it's a bittersweet symphony that's live, trying to make ends meet, trying to find someone and then you die.
Ain't that the truth?
I'll take you down the only road I've ever been down. You know, the one that takes you to the places where all the things meet, yeah. You know, I can change, I can change, I can change, I can change, but I'm here in my mold. I am here in my mold, and I'm a million different people from one day to the next. I can change my mold. No, 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 no. I can change my mold. No, 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 no. I can change my mold. No, 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 no. Yes, I tell, change my environment. Melody and silence. I tell, can't change my violence. Melody and violence. I can't change my violence. I tell, change my violence. Melody and silence. I tell, change my
If there's a song that captures the 90s, and if there's a song that is really part of the heart makeup of the 90s, this has to be at least one of the tracks. So this is one of the songs of the decade. There's no denying that. And, I have the Wikipedia article pulled up for the track, so we can always dive into it. And it is very, very lengthy as well. So, this is just a track that its reputation precedes it. But then, even before that, its reputation follows it even after. When those strings start in the beginning, I think that immediately, if you know this song, it comes with nostalgia. It kind of hits of a different time, especially, I can't speak for other generations, but for those of us who grew up in the 90s, when that was the heart of our childhood or of our life, I think that this one just hits a little bit different as soon as those strings start. And from the moment those drums come in with a quick fill in the beginning and then launches into it. Ba, 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 ba. And the lyrics are really nice as well. Can I tell you, I've never looked at the lyrics for this track. This is the first time that I've ever actually looked at them. And I like how they work so well with this, not a hopeless, nihilistic view, but a little bit of a youthful, man, things aren't that great. We can make them better, but things aren't going that great. And the lead vocals from, is it Ashcroft that's handling the lead vocals here? He's credited, so I would assume so. Ashcroft's vocals have that perfect amount of intonation that sounds a little bit lost, a little bit, wavering in his faith in the world, but at the same time built up with the hope and perhaps eventual expectation that things may get better. And I think that his voice perfectly captures those emotions in the way he sings. And perhaps it's because, I know this track and I've heard it in my younger days, but there is an air of, nostalgic hope for the future and a youthful outlook on life. I also like how McCabe's lead guitar, how there's almost a Western-esque vibe to how he plays guitar in the tone, the wow, alongside of the strings when those are playing. That kind of adds this interesting kind of mood to the track in here. And I think that is just a classic that stands up for itself. I don't have a ton to say on the track specifically, I guess because it's so ingrained even in my mind. But I really think that this is a huge standout just in the decade of 90s music. And also, there was one more thing I was going to mention about the song. Oh, I like how as the song goes on, you have those kind of call outs that happen in there. And I like how those almost feel like call outs as the next section begins. It's like not a drum fill. A drum fill nicely will lead you and transition to the next section. But I like how those little vocal moments, those yeah, 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 or the little yes that happen, the God, they just kind of act as these vocal fills that launch you into the next section. Usually when that symphony takes over even stronger. Like I said, I've never looked at the lyrics, but let's go ahead and do so, huh? Because it's a bittersweet symphony, that's life. Trying to make ends meet, you're a slave to money, then you die. He puts it out all on the table right then and there. The bittersweet symphony he's talking about is life. I'll take you down the only road I've ever been down. The one that takes you to the places where all the veins meet. Yeah. I think that's a great line. The only road I've ever been down. It's life, the road of life. This is the only road he's experienced. And he says, I'll take you to where all the veins meet. It makes me think of the heart. We'll reach and walk towards the heart. We'll travel to where the heart is. No change. I can change. I can change. I can change. See what I mean? You immediately get the lack of faith, lack of hope, but then maybe a little hope. But I'm here in my mold. But I'm a million different people from one day to the next. I'm in a mold. I've been molded by the things around me, but he's also different every day. There's an impermanence to who he is. And he even says, I can't change my mold. I can't change what made me this way. But I can change my outcome and my form as I get out of my mold. And then the question, have you ever been down? A question directed to the audience, to us. Well, I've never prayed, but tonight I'm on my knees. I need to hear some sounds that recognize the pain in me. He needs some relation, something to take solace in, some sort of solidarity. I let the melody shine, let it cleanse my mind. I feel free now. But the airwaves are clean and there's nobody singing to me now. He repeats the lyrics here again. Says, I can't change it. I can't change it. Because it's a bittersweet symphony that's life trying to make ends meet. He repeats these lyrics. So I'll take you down the only road I've ever been. And he repeats that in the end here in the final delivery. But he says, it's just sex and violence, melody and silence. Been down, ever been down. I can't change my mold. Have you ever been down? So even as he's had little pokes of hope and moments where he feels like maybe I can change, there is an admission of I can't change. And he says, I'm here in my mold. Almost as if he's stuck. Perhaps there's a unique comfort staying in his mold. Perhaps it takes effort and a little bit of pain to break free of that mold. And then he boils everything down. It's just sex and violence, melody and silence. He's feeling a little bit down. That's it. But it's a bittersweet symphony, this life, isn't it? Let's look at some of the information about this. We're not going to read every single thing about this, but just to get some of the main points. They developed this from a sample of a 65 version of the Rolling Stones song, The Last Time, by the Andrew Oldham Orchestra, adding vocals, strings, guitar, and percussion. After a lawsuit by the Rolling Stones' former manager, the Verve relinquished all royalties to the Rolling Stones members, Mick Jagger and Richards, who were also added to the songwriting credits. In 2019, 10 years after Klein's death, Jagger, Richards, and Clyde's son ceded the rights to the Verve songwriter Ashcroft, so they gave it back there. There's a music video accompanying it as well. It reached number 2 on the UK singles chart and stayed on the chart for 3 months. That's a big success. Also 12 in the US as well. Named as Rolling Stones and Enemy's Single of the Year, nominated for the Best British Single, and so on and so forth. Let's see. Ashcroft heard the Andrew Oldham Orchestra version of The Last Time and thought it could be turned into something outrageous. They sampled and looped 4 bars, added dozens more tracks, including strings, guitar, percussion, and vocals. Ashcroft said he imagined something that opened up into a prairie music kind of sound, similar to the work of Italian composer Ennio Morricone, and that the song started morphing into this wall of sound, a concise piece of pop music. He likened the use of the sample to a golden age of hip-hop, to take something but really twist it, mess it up into something else, take it and use your imagination. And I mean, that sample is, definitely a big part of this track, perhaps the biggest part. The strings that open were arranged by Will Malone based on the melody and the sample. He expanded on the melody to bounce and jump. And it goes on from there. This music video, the credits disputes. Definitely a little bit of a dispute there. Return the credits, as we mentioned. I mean, yeah, I can understand. This is probably their biggest song. And I can definitely understand why, there was perhaps a little twisting of the arms around this returning or about the credits. Billboard estimated that the song had generated almost $5 million in publishing revenue. Ashcroft expressed his anger over the situation, saying, Someone stole God knows how many millions of dollars off me in '97, and they still got it. Anyone, unless you were mentally ill, will always remember the day when $50 million was stolen off them. He said he intended to pursue the matter with Klein's son, Jody. In 2019, Ashcroft's managers approached Jody, connected them to the Rolling Stones manager. They all spoke. Jagger and Richards agreed to return the Bittersweet Symphony royalties and songwriting credits to Ashcroft. He said it was a kind and magnanimous move, and said, "I never had a personal beef with the Stones. They've always been the greatest rock and roll band in the world. It's been a fantastic development. It's life-affirming in a way." The Rolling Stones said that they acknowledged the financial and emotional cost of having to surrender the composition of one of your own songs. At least it worked out in the end, though. And obviously, there's all your chart information right then and there. At least that was a situation that, it worked out in the end, it seemed, for both parties. And they came into an amicable agreement there. All right, let's move on to the next track. Now we're getting some new material now. I like new material for me, which is going to be Sonnet. Here we go. Things down after the previous track.
My friend and me, looking through her red box of memories, faded I'm sure, but seems to stick in her veins, you know. Yes, there's love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet, my lord.
I thought I wrote that.
Yes, there's love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet, my lord, my lord.
Tickling.
Why can't you see that nature has its way of wanting me? Eyes open wide, looking at the heavens with a tear in my eye. Yes, there's love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet,
That quick rhyme is feels good.
my lord.
And those hits.
Yes, there's love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet, my lord, my lord. Sinking faster than a boat without a hull, my lord. Dreaming of the day when I can see you there, my side.
Little speed ups in there, huh?
By my side. Here we go again, and my head is gone, my lord. I stopped to say hello, 'cause I think you should know by now, by now, by now, by now, by now.
Strings returning. I like how some of those strings returned in that end there. Okay, there's a really nice sweetness to this track, especially in the chorus. And I really like the way that Ashcroft and the band move in the chorus. Let me get... there's a love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet. Like, the way that vocally and that delivery kind of quickens the pace in a certain sense is really nice. And then in the midst of that, you get those hits that, at least on the first time around, they come unexpected. The right now. Like, I like how that kind of throws it off. It throws a pebble in the stream, but the stream keeps on going. Like, it's still flowing really nicely. And this whole thing has this kind of sweet flow to it, this sweet stream of wordplay and like, I don't want to use the word sweet again, but it just flows really nicely is what I'm getting at. And I like how those hits add a few ripples into this particular pond. I guess that's good. That's a good way of putting it. But I love that line in the chorus. There's love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet, my lord. It just flows really nicely. And then once again, you get a nice like amount of like little guitar moments in here. Ashcroft and McCabe and Simon Tong are handling guitar. So there's actually a decent amount of guitar in the album. And some of it is very minuscule, but then some of it, of course, is those bigger riffs that come through. But I like those little bits that come through in the verse that just kind of are spread in a thin way. And then, kind of surprisingly, what starts off and, builds in this kind of, not ballad, but a sweet song, it speeds up halfway through and it becomes a little bit more windy. There's a little bit more, of a storm that brews there. And I was not expecting to speed up that way. Because this is pretty good right there. It's like it's stripping and it's falling and it's catching itself. And it's not like it's some huge change. It's not like they, go into like thrash metal or something, but just a little bit of extra snare and pickup on the guitar and the way that it solos off while he's, wooing there. It's just enough to really build this breadth of power and space as everyone kind of comes to fullness there. And I thought that was really nice. And of course it builds and builds until we're left with the strings that just kind of walk the track out. And especially after the previous track, I like how this one begins at a slower pace and then builds back up again into something nice and big and powerful. My friend and me, looking through her red box of memories, faded, I'm sure, but love seems to stick in her veins, Yes, there's love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet, my lord. Yes, there's love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet, my lord. Why can't you see that nature has its way of warning me? Eyes open wide, looking at the heavens with a tear in my eye. Sinking faster than a boat without a hull, my lord, dreaming about the day when I can see you there, my side, by my side. Here we go again, and my head is gone, my lord. I stopped to say hello because I think you should know by now. By now, oh, by now. So I'm getting, once again, nostalgia from this, like looking through her red box of memories, my friend and me. This could go in so many different directions. I mean, going through a shoebox of old pictures and old items and personal items that, someone had. Who is her? He says, my friend and me. Looking at her red box of memories. Could just be a friend. And they're going through old memories. Maybe they're older now and they're just looking back on the good times. They're flipping through the picture album and the scrapbook. And like I said, this shoebox of memories. And even though they're faded, there's still love there, right? That's kind of what I get from the lines here. And then he reassures. This is an ounce of positivity as compared to the, feelings of hopelessness in the previous track. There's love if you want it. It doesn't sound like a sonnet. There's love if you want it. You just have to want it. He says that nature has a way of warning me, looking at the heavens with a tear in my eye. Like he's looking up, symbolically, right? Looking up, rain falls, there's a tear in his eye. And in a sense, that's a way of warning him about something. Sinking faster than a boat without a hull, dreaming about the day when I can see you there by my side. Dreaming about that reconnection. Those memories are at the moment in that present, the only connection that he has. But he's hoping that maybe one day they can reconnect and have some more time together. I feel like lyrically it's open-ended, but there perhaps is a more specific meaning on why it's written the way it is. Let's see, it's the final single from the album. The ballad has the same instrumental layout as The Drugs Don't Work, consisting of acoustic and electric guitar. Let's see, the label, Hut Records, wanted to release another single from the album, an idea with which the band disagreed. Hut pressed them, so the band agreed to release Sonnet, but only in a format that would make it ineligible for chart recognition. Consequently, Sonnet was released as part of a set of 4 12-inch records. It was limited to just 5,000 copies despite the huge radio coverage it received, and the UK's official chart company refused to recognize it as a single because of the extra content. Their plan worked. The pack was released in a cardboard mailer, and the preceding 3 singles from the album all were re-released on the same day, fitted into the mailer. However, sales of an imported format resulted in it charting in the UK at number 74, and it went on from there. So the plan failed upwards, basically. And you got your chart information here: 83 in Australia, 4 in Iceland, 8 UK airplay, and 10 in Italy. Let's move on to the next track here, which is going to be The Rolling People. Roly Poly Oly. Remember that show? It's got kind of a 70s hit right there. Clap along with that one. Riff off the cuff like that.
And with a drugstore wife, I was feeling sold a bit of a wife. I don't shake no hands, cause death has no fans. And here we are, the rolling people, can't stay for long, we gotta go. So come alive with the rolling people.
Love the guitar work back here.
I'm on a big shit plane with my briefcase and crime in my veins. I'll be the first to toast, yeah, to my rotten soul. And here we are, the rolling people. Don't ask why, we don't know. So come alive with the rolling people. Don't ask why, we just know now, yeah.
This is a cool track.
Tell me if you know which way I'm going to. The lights are riding, I am feeling blue. I hope you know which way I'm gonna fly. Thank you for my life, I said good night, goodbye.
Back into the bass launch.
You see me going, and here we are, the rolling people. Can't stay for long, we gotta go. So come alive with the rolling people. Don't ask why, we don't know now, yeah.
All the guitars get some nail on here. Kind of a Led Zeppelin, love you, love you, love you. Kind of ramble there. catchy, but also like extended.
We're gonna take you home now, now, now. We're gonna take you home now, now, now. Gonna take you home now, gonna take you home now, gonna take you home now.
Very psychedelic, those guitars now. Not that we're far into the album, but this is my favorite track so far on the album. It feels like every one of them just gets a moment to really go all out on the guitar and just have a fun time on stage. I can see this track being a big live track. Like this could end one of their performances if they're performing live, because of the extended instrumental sections and the way that Ashcroft is just like ba, 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 ba. There's just that ba, 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 ba. There's just that like that conclusive energy. This could even be like a final track on the album. It just has that big bang, big ending, go out with a bang kind of format to it. And I really like that. It's 7 minutes and it doesn't feel like 7 minutes whatsoever. To me, it didn't feel like 7 minutes at all. And I feel like they could have jammed on and just kind of kept going over and over in here. Even Salisbury on the drums, who I haven't talked about in the album, but even him on the drums, he kind of gets down a little bit. And this track, I guess overall, the album has a certain sound that really to me feels like the 90s. This is kind of taking me back a little bit in a certain way. But this track just takes all those elements and just goes a little bit further with each of them. And I like how, even though I don't know who's playing what guitar in what specific moments, you can definitely get a feel that the three people that are playing guitar get different moments to kind of take a little bit of a step forward into the limelight. And even if not solo, have a little bit of a moment, whether it's the riff or the solos that happen. And I like the kind of, what's the word? Not ambience, but I like the slow and powerful riffing that is the focus of a lot of this track. And not slow and powerful like a deathcore breakdown, or not like Deftones, not like that. But just the way that the guitar sustains in a lot of the moments. When Ashcroft is singing, the note that he sustains on the last note of the chorus, like the way that kind of sustains and the guitars just kind of keep going underneath him. I like that kind of wave of sound and noise that kind of, I don't know, just feels like a tidal wave of noise in and out. Because for me, it provides a certain ambience in the music, and it's clearly demonstrated very well in this particular track here. It just has a coolness to it. They bring it down really nicely here as well. Just a brilliant track. This is my favorite one on the album so far. Like I said, it's not like we're very far in, but this one has it all. Ups, downs, lefts, and rights. Comes out swinging in every respect. Big shout out. I got one more life. Can you see it wasting away? But I got a plan. Do you understand? The drugstore wife, I was dealing soul and other white. I don't shake no hands, cause death has no plans. But here we are. The rolling people can't stay for long. We gotta go. So come alive with the rolling people. Don't ask why. We just know. Listen, they're the movers, the shakers. They are the bread bakers. When they say let's go, you go. They are those rolling people, those rolling stones. Says he was dealing soul in other white. I would imagine that other white is the cocaine, perhaps? The yayo? I'm on a big jet plane with my briefcase and crime in my veins. I'll be the first to toast to my rotten soul. You know, these rolling people may not be, you know, the band themselves and like, you know, their travels and stuff like that. I think he's just making a case for people that are perhaps getting away with things they shouldn't be getting away with. People in power. Don't even know which way I'm going to. The lights are on and I'm feeling blue. I hope you know which way I'm going to fly. Thank you for my life. I said goodnight, goodbye. You see me going. Yeah, you know I'm burning up and up and up and up. It doesn't look that bad. I can see my dad. It doesn't look that bad. No, it doesn't look that bad. Gonna take you home now. We're gonna take you home now. Let's see. Is there anything about this particular track? Songs. Oh, look, you got a whole thing right here. Let's see. Where is it in here? The Rolling People evokes the Verve's earlier work, opening with what Baker described as a gale sounds, as though it's being recorded in a desolate wilderness somewhere. Egon said it was about making sacrifices when trying to survive day to day. It's just telling white lies while being polite. Oh, so that's the white that he was talking about, selling or dealing soul in other white lies. Well, I was wrong. I'm completely wrong. It takes elements of The Four Horsemen by Aphrodite's Child. I didn't even think about that. Ramble On. Okay, I got a little plant in there. I did mention that. And Give Me Shelter. And Everybody's Got a Thing by Funkadelic. It's been a long time since I've listened to The Four Horsemen. I would have to. I didn't catch that at all. I didn't catch that at all. I'd have to. Oh, I gotta give it another listen to see if I can figure out. That's really cool. What an inspiration to take from. What a niche inspiration to take from, but a great one. At least they didn't take any inspiration from Infinity on this track. Let's move on to the next one, which is The Drugs Don't Work. Here we go.
All this talk of getting old, it's getting me down, my love, like a cat in a bag, waiting to drown. This time I'm coming down.
Some imagery.
And I hope you're thinking of me. You lay down on your side. Now the drugs don't work, they just make you worse. But I know I'll see your face again. Now the drugs don't work, they just make you worse. But I know I'll see your face again. But I know I'm on a losing streak as I pass down my old street. And if you wanna show, then just let me know, and I'll sing in your ear again. Now the drugs don't work, they just make you worse. But I know I'll see your face again. 'Cause baby, if heaven falls,
That's a good
I'm
one.
coming to, just like you say. Talk of getting on, it's getting me down, my love.
That feels good.
the drugs don't work, they just make you worse. But I know I'll see your face again. 'Cause baby, ooh, if heaven falls,
There's a certain country
I'm
aspect of the guitar.
coming to, just like you say. You leave my life, I'm better off there. But if you wanna show, just let me know and I'll sing in your ear again. Now the drugs don't work, they just make you worse. But I know I'll see your face again. Yeah, I know I'll see your face again. Yeah, I know I'll see your face again. Yeah, I know I'll see your face again. Whoa.
I like how this drum fill is repeating the same.
Yeah, I know I'll see your face again. Whoa, Lord.
Kind of just building up the anticipation.
Never going down now, never coming down no more, no more, no more, no more, no more. Never coming down now, never coming down no more, no more, no more, no more, no more. Never coming down now, never coming down no more, no more, no more, no more, no more. Never coming down now, never coming down no more, no more, no more, no more, no more. Never coming down now, never coming down no more, no more, no more, no more, no more, no more.
Kind of like what we read with Sonnet, this is another track where the acoustic, it starts off a very stripped down, bare kind of way, and then it builds off from that into something very powerful, especially as we get to the ending. And we even repeat the end where some strings come in for a brief but noticeable appearance there. And I think that the formula works really well, and especially with the way that the band performs it, because it feels melancholic and emotional. It's filled with thought and feelings, and it has a lot of heart behind it. And they build the track up in a really satisfying and progressive way. And I've mentioned it before, but I'm noticing it especially more in these tracks that are a little bit more bare in many ways. During the verse, the assortment of guitar notes and melodies that play have a clear, like, Western kind of vibe. And in here specifically, the tone, especially that wow, that kind of, well, I did it horribly. That sounded like a cat with a sore throat. But the wow, that sounded like a cat that just got fixed. The way that the notes pitch up in a very certain way has a very kind of country western kind of sound. So it's kind of cool how they work this into the mixture of their music while still building up into that eventual symphonic orchestral kind of arrangements at the finale there. And Ashcroft sings, of course, with that really beautiful melancholic tone that is both grounded but lifting at the same time. He can kind of go back and forth between the two, you know, at certain points sounding numb and at others sounding inspiring and inspired himself. So it's really cool how he kind of maneuvers between the two without necessarily changing his voice so much. I really like at the end of this track, for the final minute, it is just that release, that catharsis of music, right? As it just goes off. It was a small thing, but what I liked about that is the drumming. And the bass does it as well. But the drum fill that plays at the end of each of those lines, it doesn't change. So, yeah, let me put it up.
Never coming down now, never coming down no more, no more.
And it just repeats that over and over. And I like how that is basically reinforcing that repetitive and climactic rhythm here. You know, a lot of times in music like this, when it gets to that ending, the drums, or any other instrument, but usually the drums, can go off and do a bunch of fills and really bring a certain diversity to the rhythm as it ends. But here, it stays the same and keeps repeating that same ending line. So I feel like it puts the focus more on the overall song and feeling rather than the individualistic performances here, which would be the drums. I think it's a small choice. It's not like a big deal, But it's just something I noticed, and I thought that was kind of cool how it works more towards the song and how he plays more towards the song rather than taking off and kind of putting in a bunch of fast fills just to kind of show off a little bit. You know, I thought Peter made a good choice there. Let's look at these lyrics. All this talk of getting old, it's getting me down, my love, like a cat in a bag waiting to drown. This time, I'm coming down. So he doesn't want to talk about the eventualities of life, the mortalities of life. And I hope you're thinking of me as you lay down on your side. Now the drugs don't work, they just make you worse. But I know I'll see your face again. So at first when I was reading this, I was thinking drugs like, you know, I guess I'm sorry, for lack of a better word, fun drugs. I'm not promoting anything. I was thinking of like drugs. But I think this perhaps is more medicinal drugs. And, you know, they don't work in the sense of maybe they're being taken to make her get through some sort of pain or something, but they're just making it worse and her worse in the sense of maybe she loses some of her personality. You know what I mean? But he knows that eventually he'll see, not literally necessarily her face again, but the person who she is, her personality come through. But I know I'm on a losing streak because I passed down my old street. And if you want a show, then just let me know and I'll sing in your ear again. Because baby, if heaven calls, I'm coming too, just like you said. You leave my life, I'm better off dead. Very straightforward, very to the point. He doesn't want to live a life without her. And it just repeats off from there. And I do like this line, if you want a show, just let me know and I'll sing in your ear again. I think that's an incredibly sweet and intimate line. Because I'm imagining her on these drugs in a catatonic state, not who she is or who she was. And, you know, if you need even just a little show, I'll sing to you. I'll put my lips to your ear and I'll sing in your ear those songs that you love. Yeah, I know I'll see your face again. I'm never coming down. No, I'm never coming down. No more, no more, no more. Let's look at the info on this one. It's released as the second single from the album, debuting rather, at number 1 on the UK singles chart. Ranked number 7 on Channel 4's list of 100 greatest number 1 singles. The somber nature of the song unintentionally captured the spirit of the nation as it was released the day after Princess Diana died. I remember that day. You know, obviously, like in the U.S., it's, you know, a little bit different. Certain things are heard of differently. And obviously, I was a youth when that happened, and much younger. But I do remember hearing about it, and I remember how big of an impact and deal, of course, that was. Ashcroft wrote the song in early 95. He briefly mentioned it in an interview at the time, relating it to his drug use. There's a new track I've just written. It goes, the drugs don't work, they just make me worse, and I know I'll see your face again. That's how I'm feeling at the moment. They make me worse, but I still take them. Out of boredom, frustration, you turn to something else to escape. Over the years, people have speculated that the song is about someone close to Ashcroft who was dying. However, Ashcroft has been reluctant to give further details as he feels that people have their own views, and if he underlined his own interpretation, that would be killing it for the people. He would later explain the song was written about his father who was dying, saying the drugs they were giving him were not improving his condition. I really like this. You know, I've mentioned it before, and I think that it's a question that's worth asking. Whose interpretation of art matters more, the artist or the audience? Chart information: 2 in Belgium, 8 in Europe, 9 in Finland, and as we said, UK singles hitting that number 1 spot. Let's move on to the next track here, Catching the Butterfly. It's easier if you catch it when it's in the cocoon. Sounds like a railway station. Singing in here. Kind of afraid. doesn't it? Great atmosphere to it. Bass leading to scratch this
out. Catching that butterfly and that dream of mine. Catching that butterfly and that dream of mine. We'll keep catching that butterfly and that dream of mine.
I love this. Okay, Catching the Butterfly, second best track on the album so far. Rolling People, my favorite. Catching the Butterfly. Okay, I'm liking when I'm noticing a trend. I'm noticing a pattern. When the band takes their sound, which they have a clear and distinct sound to them, and they kind of allow it to be expanded. Definitely in duration, as this track is 6 minutes, a little over, and Rolling People is 7. And looking, these are almost, besides the last track, the longest tracks on the album. It's like they allow their sound to expand and in a sense progress a little bit, have a little bit more air to play with and room to play with. And I think that they use that room excellently. There's moments in here, quite a few of them in Catching the Butterfly, that bring and call to mind a kind of 60s, early 70s psychedelic kind of sound. I would say especially the way that Ashcroft is singing near the beginning, there's something about it that's very psychedelic in here. Here it is. The way his voice rises and that different way that he's singing, his voice even, he's changed his tone. That is so like psychedelic. But the rhythm, the groove of the drums and the bass especially, are still very steeped in the 90s. And I think that is so cool how they bring those sounds together, at least to me, in this track. And then, like I said, they just expand upon that brilliantly. And the guitars here, for many times, change from that kind of Western country sound that I mentioned before and moving into the more psychedelic based area. So, like, they're just bringing in all these different combos of music and sound. And I think in a track like this, it allows those sounds to expand in a cool way. And the drum sound, listening to this, like I said, it has a very 90s feel. And this is really, in some ways, the grooves kind of bring to mind like a little bit of a trip hop kind of movement to it, an alternative rock kind of move as well. But see how he sings along with the guitar and how it raises with it? And then the breakaway. The guitar takes a little bit more lead, and you have the bass riff, which has a little bit more of a grimy distortion to it. And then the other guitar comes in and just kind of plays around, kind of playing in the waves of its own ambience. And you get a lot of that. And then later on, you even have some keyboards that sounds like that come in. Right here. The little beeps and the bloops and the creeps and it's just a really great moving track, and it doesn't have a lot of changes in the way that it's set up, but it's just the overall sound of it. It's kind of like a pool to just sit in and lay around in. It's just a good pool of energy to sit down in. That's a good way of describing a pool of energy. So you born and so you thought, the future's ours to keep and hold. Oh, child within has healing ways, it sees it through my darkest days. Child of innocence, when you're a child, you're hopeful, you're wide-eyed, you're looking forward to the future and things, and it's yours to keep and hold, as he says. And even as you grow up, even as you mature and see that maybe life isn't all that it seemed initially, holding on to that childlike nature within can keep you going. I'm going to keep catching that butterfly in that dream of mine. I like that. The same way a child would, go out to catch a butterfly and capture that dream is the same way he's holding on to that. So I like how hopeful this track is in that regard. In my lucid dreams. Of course, a lucid dream is a dream that you're dreaming, but you realize you're dreaming. And so you can kind of manipulate, you can kind of change, you can kind of do things. In the same way he says, he realizes that in his life, so to speak, in this reality, he's lucid. And so he's active, he's present, and he can actively change and do things. Something learned through life, no fun. I want to feel, I want to run. He had to learn it through experience, and it wasn't always fun, but he learned, and he'll go from there and grow from there. My lucid dreams, my forgotten schemes. My lucid dreams, my forgotten schemes. I see through you. You see through me. Believe in me. I see through you. You see through me. Like I said, this whole part is truly him having that lucidity in his life. To be in your eyes, you are. To be in your eyes, you are. As he gazes, not into the void, but into the future gazes back at him in like respect and in kindness. I think this is a really great track. And can I say that every single one of these songs, none have been a stinker, for lack of a better word, but each of them has really been, it feels well developed and very mature in the way that they write and the sound of it all. It's just a very enjoyable album to go through. Neon Wilderness. The city, I can imagine. Shortest track on the album as well. Oh. Little 808 back there. What a vibe.
Escape before I sink. Spill my last drink. Say goodbye to my new friends.
Okay, shortest track on the album, but it completely changes the tone. I just mentioned trip hop kind of sound, and they kind of dive into just they don't. This isn't a trip hop song, but it's definitely looking at the genre. It's definitely giving a little bit of a wink to the genre kind of here. It's the shortest track on the album, but it works really well as kind of this interlude, a cool down, so to speak, at this point. And I love the deep bass, of course. Maybe that's the modern man in me. And, I love that reverberating, sounds like an 808 just kind of beating in the back. But at the same time, it's not replacing the drums. Drums are still playing in there. And I like how the bass especially kind of rises along with that drum. And then Ashcroft kind of sings in just kind of a little bit of a quiet muttering through this track. But the mumbling really works in just adding to the overall atmosphere, alongside of the guitar, just lightly playing. It almost sounds like the audible representation of a vinyl record winding down and the needle being lifted and just kind of coming down at this point. It's a short track, but I think that it actually makes quite a nice effect, and it's perfect for the time that it is, just 2:30. But I kind of wish that they might, for all I know, I kind of wish that they kind of expanded on this, because it was just a cool sound they went into here. In a neon wilderness, kind of actually works as well. A neon wilderness, kind of, more of digital age, and bringing in those drums, especially there. He was restless, escaped loneliness, find a new address, stood before I sink. In a neon wilderness, spilled my last drink. He was restless, said goodbye to my new friends, escaped loneliness. I found a new address. In the last room, I hear a boom, someone else's distress. Here, piece that again. Here, piece all of these again. Looking to go somewhere new. In the neon wilderness, he's restlessness. He has to escape his loneliness. I think of it as being in a city, a neon wilderness, a wilderness of lights and neon and stuff. And, even in a city where there's so many people around you, he's feeling a sense of loneliness. And so he has to escape this loneliness and find a new address, find a new home. That's a great track, though. And it does have a sinking kind of feeling, as he mentions in the lyrics. Space and time is the next track here. This is a nice come up from Neon Wilderness. That's a return. This feels like the B side of the album.
There ain't no space and time to keep our love alive. We have existence and it's all we share. There ain't no real truth, there ain't no real light. Keep on pushing 'cause I know it's there. Oh, can you just tell me it's alright? It's alright. Let me sleep tonight. Oh,
That's dreaming. That's a safe
can
sleep.
you comfort me tonight? It's alright. Make it all seem fine. I just can't make it alone. Oh no no. I just can't make it alone. Oh no no. There'll be no lullabies. There'll be no tears cried. We feel numb 'cause we don't see that if we really cared and we really loved, think of all the joy we'd feel. Oh, can you just tell me it's alright? It's alright. Let me sleep tonight. Oh, can you comfort me tonight? It's
Love that guitar popping in and out.
Make it all seem fine. I just can't make it alone. Oh no no. I just can't make it alone. Oh no no. I just can't make it alone. Oh no no. I just can't make it alone. Oh no no.
Isn't this the kind of moment that you just feel good in?
Ain't got no lullaby, no, no.
But a lullaby plays on a guitar kind of.
Ain't got no lullaby, no. There is no space and time, oh Lord. There is no space and time, oh Lord. 'cause I know it's there. Keep on pushing 'cause I know it's there. Keep on pushing 'cause I know it's there. Keep on pushing 'cause I know it's there.
I like how after the intermission, in a sense, of the previous track, this really does act as a reintroduction at this halfway point. And if this was on vinyl, I would imagine this would be the first song on the second side of the album, because it first of all really nicely transitions off of the energy of the previous track. Like listening to Neon Wilderness, the ending here, like the musical ending here, I think that like as it fades away in this, space and time kind of slowly regathers our thoughts, brings back the atoms together, and it still introduces some of that dreaminess, especially with the guitars, some of the fading ins and outs of that, and not so far, but it reminds me of the way that Fripp would kind of do a similar thing. And then eventually it builds back into the sound that's, you know, at this point we're kind of known and familiar with from the Verve. It kind of builds back into that acoustic and electric guitar driven pop, and kind of easygoing but melancholic. It has a lot of feelings involved, and I feel like it really nicely shifts back to this specific year really nicely. But there's still an energy of dreaminess throughout this track. There's many lyrics in here that refer to certain things that would, you know, bring to mind dreaminess. It mentions a lullaby, tonight, sleeping, and in some of those moments, one of the guitars that plays kind of plays a melody that's very light and lullaby-esque. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a lullaby and that they include it right at that perfect moment, but it really nicely kind of brings to mind this atmosphere of relaxation and sleeping and going to sleep and dreams. And they build a nice dreamscape in this track and expand upon it, especially in the outro of this particular song. I think that this is a really nice re-entry point into the album and another feel-good track from the band. Let me see if I can... There you go. Like, this is very dreamy while still keeping to their particular status quo in the way they move. And like, I like how they take those little instrumental breaks and just like the other tracks I like Butterfly and such, like they expand upon it and allow the music to breathe and build. And it's just a feel-good essence that the band jumps into, while always bringing it back to these big climactic moments. And that melody is catchy, right? Can I say one thing about the band? They know how to make a very catchy song with some depth as well. There ain't no space and time to keep our love alive. We have existence and it's all we share. There ain't no real truth, there ain't no real lies. Keep on pushing cause I know it's there. Oh, can you just tell me it's all right, let me sleep tonight. Can you comfort me tonight? Make it all seem fine. Just for this moment, let's just spend this time together and let's pretend, in a sense, that it's all okay. I just can't make it alone. No, tonight I just can't make it alone. There'll be no lullabies. There'll be no tears cried. We feel numb because we don't see that if we really care and we really loved, think of all the joy we'd feel. Like if we didn't just play pretend, so to speak. What if we really loved? Can you just tell me it's all right? Let me sleep tonight. Can you comfort me tonight? Make it all seem fine. I like how he's, you know, being honest and truthful himself and being vulnerable. Can you just tell me it's all right? I can't make it alone. Ain't got no lullaby. There's no space in time. There's no space in time. We have existence. It's all we share. Like this is the only thing we share initially, but we can share so much more if we try a little bit. As he says, keep on pushing. And then it goes off or out with that mantra there. We can have more than just the space and time of existence with one another, as he's saying to this other person. Move on. Weeping Willow. Just hit the desk. Every track gets you moving in a certain way, doesn't it?
When morning breaks, we had our eyes and our lungs aching, nothing straight.
really moving to that.
It was in our hands from 6 to 10. It slipped right out again. There'll be no better time. There'll be no better way. There'll be no better day to save me. Save me. Yeah, save me.
Nice riff there.
Yeah, save me. I hope you see like I see. I hope you see what I see. Yeah, yeah. I hope you feel like I And the world don't stop. There is no time for cracking up. Believe me, friend. When freedom comes, I'll be long gone. You know it has to end. There'll be no better time. There'll be no better way. There'll be no better day to save me. Yeah, save me. Yeah, save me. Yeah, save me. I hope you see like I see. Yeah, yeah. I hope you feel what I feel. Yeah, yeah. Someone to
That
stand
guitar is so nice.
beside me.
I like the speaking here and singing all the time.
We've been Willow, the pills under my pillow. We've been Willow, the pills under my pillow. We've been Willow, the gun under your pillow. We've been Willow, we've been
I'm really impressed as I listen to the band by the way that they play guitar alongside of the main riffs. Because, of course, you always have the main rhythm and the track that plays in a certain way. And throughout the album, like this track in particular, it's not like some overtly crazy riffing or anything like that. But the details that are added in the guitar playing, I think really make each of these tracks in a very specific way, whether it's the whole track or specific moments. And here is no different, especially near the end. Here. To me, it sounds like there's at least two guitars happening at different points there in that section. There's the wow, wow, that kind of psychedelic, funky-esque guitar that's playing more towards a moving atmosphere here. But then there's also something of a kind of bluesiness that's being played elsewhere. Not complete, like it kind of goes back and forth. So I really like how the guitars specifically add another layer in a subtle manner to the overall sound of the tracks. And of course, this song included. And I think that this song sounds like another single to me that could come off the album. I didn't see if it was. I don't necessarily see that it is. But this one sounds like it could be a single. I think that out of the tracks we've listened to so far, this one's my least favorite. But I can't say that there's anything bad about it. This one just feels like, I guess it feels like what I expect from the band at this point. And I'm wanting now like a little bit of a something else. I can't say anything bad about this track. I'm just like, okay, we've heard this sound from them before. Better. Let's keep going. That's how this kind of track has hit me at this point. When morning breaks, we hide our eyes and our lungs ache. Ain't nothing strange. It was in our hands from 6 to 10. It slipped right out again. Like something was in their hands for just a brief period of time, but then it was gone. There'll be no better time, no better way. There'll be no better day to save me. Yeah, save me. I hope you see like I see. Hope you see like I see. Hope you see or feel what I feel. And the world don't stop. There's no time for cracking up. Believe me, friend, because when freedom comes, I'll be long gone. You know it has to end. Like there was something. I mean, I have this right here. Like there was hope and freedom in their hands for a brief period of time, but it was lost. And then he says, obviously there'll be no better time, no better way. Eventually this opportunity will come again, not in his lifetime, but hopefully the future generations will take hold of it, in some symbolic way. Someone to stand beside me. Like it's not just individuals, it's everyone. Weeping willow, the pills under my pillow. Weeping willow, the gun under your pillow. Pills and guns. There's something to be said about that. Beside me, weeping willow. What did this annotation say? Stands the test of time because of its talk of guns under pillows and its intense, rich sonic layering. You got a -3 there. Even though I see what you're going for. We hide our eyes and our lungs ache. Ain't nothing strange. Like we've adapted and just gotten used to how things are, the way things are. But there'll be no better time when we can change. We can change things. It all starts from your little corner, and you just expand that forward and moving forward. Let's move on to the next track here, which is Lucky Man. Oh, what a lucky man he was.
Happiness, more or less, it's just a changing me something in my liberty. On my mind. Happiness coming and going. I watch you look at me, watch my fever growing. I know just where I am. But how many corners do I have to turn? How many times do I have to learn? All the love I have is in my mind. But I'm a lucky man with fire in my hands. Happiness, something in my own place. I'm steady naked, smiling, I feel no disgrace. With who happiness coming and going. I watch you look up and watch my fever growing. I know just who I am. And how many corners do I have to turn? How many times do I have to run? All the love I have is in my mind. I hope you understand. I hope you understand.
I like that part.
Something in my liberty, happiness coming and going. I watch you look up and watch my fever growing. I know, oh my.
The strings came back really nice, huh? Almost sounds like some of the strings from Bittersweet.
It's just a changing with something in my liberty. It's just a changing with something in my liberty. It's just a genuine something in my liberty. Oh my. Oh my.
It's moving in a very similar way.
Something in my liberty. Oh my. Oh my.
This almost feels like a spiritual successor to Bittersweet Symphony because it includes a few of the same kind of things, you know, the very sensitively beautiful guitar on top of everything, the strings that come back, and even the way the strings play, it kind of sounds like a little bit of an offshoot of the strings from Bittersweet, but just not quite as fully engaged in this track as they are in the first one there. And it kind of treads a very similar ground, like if Bittersweet ran so Lucky Man could walk, basically is like how I hear this particular track. And I think that, I mean, I'm looking at it, I see that this one has a lot of streams and plays as well. So it's definitely a very popular song on the album. Perhaps looking at it, maybe even the second most popular song on the album. But I don't think that it hits a very unique or interesting mark. I mean, I could definitely see why this would be very popular. It's a very, you know, mainstream-esque, quick, in and out, catchy song. Hits all the right notes. But this one even less so. I feel like this is just a weaker Bittersweet Symphony and doesn't have any of the charm, you know, from obviously the bigger strings that take over, Ashford's really unique take and delivery there, the drums, the rhythm of it. It just doesn't have any of that. So I feel like this track is lacking something at this point. I can see why it's one of their more popular tracks, but you know, compared to every song actually on this album, this one feels like it's missing that particular sauce, in my opinion. You know, like how I even said, like with the previous track with Willow, how, you know, it kind of hits like a very similar theme as all the other tracks, but doesn't hit as many unique ideas. Willow's much more unique, I would say, than this particular track. Before I look at this, let's look at this. It's like happiness more or less. It's just a change in me, something in my liberty. Happiness coming and going. I watch you look at me, watch my fever growing. I know just where I am. But how many corners do I have to turn? How many times do I have to learn? All the love I have is in my mind. How many experiences do I have to have? How many wrong turns do I have to make? How many times do I have to go through this before I understand that the love is inside of you? Well, I'm a lucky man with fire in my hands. I view this as he realizes, and he's realized that all the love I have is in my mind. And he's lucky that he realizes this before, in a sense, it's too late. Happiness, something in my own place. I'm stood here naked, smiling. I feel no disgrace with who I am. He's completely fine with who he is. He has that self-confidence and self-awareness of himself. Happiness coming and going. I'll watch you look at me, watch my fever growing. I know just who I am. And how many corners do I have to turn? He repeats this again. I hope you understand. You know. Gotta love that'll never die. And perhaps it'll never die because it's inside him. And he repeats those lines again, even to the end. It's just a change in me, something in my liberty. And can I tell you, I can relate in a sense, if that's what the track is going for lyrically, because at a certain age, I kind of hit this epitome, I guess you could say, in my own personal life where I realized who I was, and I was very happy with myself. And there are certain aspects of myself that I want to change, and I actively work towards those as best I can. It's the third single from the album here, released in 97, charting at number 7 on the UK singles chart. The song was in the band's second top 20 hit after, I would imagine, Bittersweet Symphony. Canada hit number 25 as well. Ashcroft said the song was inspired by my relationship with my wife and that sense of when you're beyond the sort of peacock dance that you have early on in a relationship. And you're getting down to the raw nature of yourselves. You're getting down to the essence of who you are and how you both can come together. Bono listed the song as one of his 6 songs released between 86 and 2006 that he wished he'd written. That's great praise to hear from another artist like that. 7 in Canada, 40 in Europe, 16 in Finland, number 2 on Italy Airplay. Let's move on to the next track here, One Day. Here we go. That's beach music.
One day maybe we will dance again under fiery skies. One day maybe you will love again, love that never dies.
Rises with his voice there. Beneath this main lead.
One day maybe you will see the land, touch skin with sand. You've been swimming in the lonely sea with no company. Can't you hear this beauty in life? The roads that highs breaking up your mind. Can't you hear this beauty in life?
This is a beach song. This just feels relaxing to listen to.
One day maybe you will cry again, just like a child. You gotta tie yourself to the mast, my friend, and the storm will end. Oh, don't you wanna find? Can't you hear
I think that this is a great beach song. In the very beginning, the first half of this track, before it builds up into some nice waves, I think it just has a relaxing kind of sparkles off the ocean with the light just hitting it right and reflecting off, I think, or refracting. I think it just has a nice ambience to it. And obviously the guitars are a huge part of that, especially when you get the kind of pitching. Well, I'm kind of making the same sound I did earlier with the cat. But I like when it hits that sound because it just makes it, to me, very relaxing, and it just makes you want to sit and kind of take in the heat. And even the singing kind of draws you in a certain way. Before the chorus, I didn't mean to hit that. Right here. And that melody that keeps coming back, and it comes back throughout the whole track. Ba, 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 ba. Is something to hold on to, while the rest of the music is just kind of you lazing around and allowing you to daydream and just go off. But that melody at the end always brings you right back. And then the chorus builds off of that. And I like how the chorus has a beautiful resonance to it as Ashcroft, whoa, and then the music kind of picks up with him, the guitars and the bass alongside of him, and eventually kind of hitting a similar vein as it hits into the climax. So that final chorus. And some nice vocal layering going on in there as well. I think this is a nice, relaxing, kind of peaceful, feel-good track at this point in the album. One day, maybe we will dance again under fiery skies. Maybe one day you will love again. Love that never dies. Would it be a sequel to Phantom of the Opera? One day, maybe you will see the land, touch skin with sand. You've been swimming in the lonely sea with no company. Oh, don't you want to find? Can't you hear this beauty in life? The rose, the highs, breaking up your mind. Can't you hear this beauty in life? Stop and smell the roses. Can't you hear that beautiful sound? What sound? The sound. Can't you see the sights? What sights? The sights. Stopping and being present in the moment and enjoying the small things around you. One day maybe you'll cry again, just like a child. You got to tie yourself to the mast, my friend, and the storm will end, like Odysseus. Was it Odysseus? Yeah, the sirens. Yeah. Oh, don't you want to find? Can't you hear the beauty in life? The times, the highs, breaking up your mind. Can't you hear it? You're too afraid to touch, too afraid you'll like it too much. There's a caution to it. You're scared to be absorbed in these things, to hear these things, feel these things. One day maybe I'll dance again. One day maybe I'll love again. Maybe we will dance again. I like the change. We will dance again. You know you've got to tie yourself to the mast, my friend, and the storm will end. Know all about it. You can. Make it easy on you. Tie yourself to the mast, and the storm will end. You will get through this shaky moment. You will get through these waves, these torrential rains. Tie yourself to the mast. Enjoy the little things in life. Take notice of them, and we'll get through this storm together. First he says, you, me, then we. I'm with you. I like that a lot, actually. Let's move on to the next track here. This Time. It's a bubbly Widow open.
Looking back on my life, you know that all I see are things I could have changed. I should have done. Where did the good times go? Good times so hard to hold. This time I'm gonna find.
Hey, that's a cool one.
Looking back on my life, you know that all I see are things I could have changed. I could have done.
Really good guitar work back there.
Demand, a wasted life is bitter spent. So rise into the light in or out of time. Now rise straight to the light in or out of time.
They're kind of bringing that down tempo energy back into this.
Woke up another day, the pain won't go away. I am growing in peculiar ways.
that transition to this vocal part.
Gonna find my way in life in or out of time. Gonna rise straight to the light in or out of time.
I love the down tempo hit on this.
Cause I know there is time, 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 this time, last time, this 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 time.
I love when the band moves into this kind of down tempo feel and they have like a definite inspiration or at least an adjacency to trip hop here. I love how they do that, but once again, integrate it even better than Neon Wilderness. Like they integrate it very well into their sound because it's not like they bring in like, you know, electronic drums or anything like that. Not even the 808, that deep bass from before, but they use the instruments in hand. They use the drummer obviously, and like they just play with real instruments, but bringing that inspired sound. And I think that the cadence from the guitars really sets it up nice, especially that melody that comes in the wow, 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 wow. It's a nice de-escalation and come down into the groove, and then the wow, 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 setting it back up as the bass and drum just groove behind that. And Ashcroft does like it. This is just a really great example of how to make that down-tempo sound without necessarily going to full kind of trip-hop there. And I think that they do an excellent job here. Reminds me in some ways, what's that band? Morchiba. Kind of reminds me in some ways of how like they would approach a particular sound like this. This, if I had to pick more favorites, we'll put this at number 3. We would definitely put this one at number 3. This is a fantastic one. Love how it grooves and it just rocks back and forth really nicely. Looking back on my life, you know that all I see are things I could have changed. I should have done. Where did those good times go? Good times so hard to hold. This time, I'm going to find. Right? There's an action I'm going to find this time. I'm not going to make a mistake or have any regrets. Looking back on my life, you know that all I see are things I could have changed. I could have done. No time for sad lament. A wasted life is bitter spent. I like that. A wasted life is bitter spent. So rise into the light. In or out of time, I'm going to rise straight through the light. In or out of time. I like the motivation, the perseverance, the action. I'm going to do this. Woke up another day, the pain won't go away. I'm growing in peculiar ways. Into a light I pass. Another dream, another trance. This time, I'm going to rise into the light. Find my way in life. Rise straight into the light. With the little strength inside me. I'm still seeing things in black and white. He's still not quite there, but he's working to get there. I'm gonna see the light because I know there is time, this time, to the light, through the light, straight through the light. Whatever the light represents in this track and regarding him, like he's going to find it. He's going to reach for it and get there. I forgot that we have the Wikipedia article here that goes through the songs. In this time, Ashcroft declares that in the future he would be able to fly. It was initially titled Discordant, where Baker attributed to the combination of drum piano parts. The noise heard in the background came about from the band using coat hangers against the recording tape. That's kind of cool. Egan called this improvisation method akin to Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. The hypnotic atmosphere stemming from this earned it a comparison to the material on A Storm in Heaven. Clark thought the track sounded like something from '89, highlighting Ashcroft's spoken word voice, guitars in the vein of Squire, and a shuffling drum pattern. Depicts a man pondering the mistakes he has made throughout his life and agreeing with himself not to lament them, but to better himself. The soul line that is the closest to this was Gonna Rise Into the Light, acts as a statement of self-improvement without needing to stick to a firm philosophy or religion. Just gonna do it. Nothing more to be said. Really fantastic one. Velvet Morning is the next track. Sounds like waking up in the morning. Back to relaxation. Upset in the relaxation there. That guitar comes out of nowhere. Feels like that big march to the end. Foot off the gas there.
Dead than alive, and my feelings
As we move into the final tracks here, I think that Velvet Morning sets us up really nicely towards that conclusion. It starts off, it's named Velvet Morning, and it starts off with a very soft, the sun is just kind of coming up and our eyes are just waking up. It has that soft approach in the music, which makes me think of waking up in the morning. And it's like, oh, just, you're stretching and you're yawning, you're kind of getting used to the day. And the music starts to shuffle along at a very easygoing pace. I thought I was going to stay in that particular theme, which was, once again, very relaxing and just very slow to wake up and just kind of dreary-eyed. But then once those hits started coming in, we moved into the chorus, the guitars came in, a little bit more amplified. It was like that first sip of coffee in the morning. It was like that first sip of coffee that like wakes you up and you're like, okay, ready to take on the day. And while you're not sleepy, you still have a little bit of that tiredness from the night before. And, you still have that, but you do have that energy to now keep going and get moving. So like this is very much like the sun is coming through the window and you're like, okay, I guess I got to start moving. But when the music picks up, where did it start? Here. That first cup of coffee hits your brain. And I like how the band manages to create an atmosphere which is both relaxing but also reinvigorated and energized as, the music comes in through that chorus. And, Ashford's voice, it sounds like he's kind of singing through like a intercom or like a handheld radio thing. Like it sounds like he's singing from there. So, and the way that he sings, it sounds like he's kind of waking up a little bit. But by the chorus, he has that stroke of energy and he's ready to take on the day, so to speak. And I've mentioned it pretty much on every song, but the combination of all the guitars and the way that they all play, whether it's acoustic riffing, once again, the pitching up and down, it all combines into a really nice way of creating the scene of this. Like, in the beginning here, this sounds like morning from the acoustic strumming to that wow, and of course into the chorus as it gets a little bit more riffing. And there's some kind of bluesy, country-esque kind of riffing happening around that. It all comes together to create a really nice scene in the music. Yes, it's been long, and yes, I still feel strong. Into the half-light, another velvet morning for me. Time stands still as you take your last pill. Into the half-light, another velvet morning for me. And now I'm trying to tell you about my life, and my tongue is twisted, man, more dead than alive. And my feelings, they've always been betrayed. And I was born a little damaged, man, look what they made. I said, don't you find that it's lonely, the corridor you walk there alone? And life is a game you've tried, and life is a game you're tired. Great change in the lines there. I'm coming down, your beauty is a color surround. Into the half-light, another velvet morning. He said, don't you mind that it's lonely, the corridor you walk there alone? Life is a game you've tried, life is a game you're tired. You've tried. I feel like this is someone on the last legs of their life, in the final days of their life. And, you've played the game. You're a little tired now. It's okay to hang up the hat, so to speak. That's like the feeling I get from this track. And obviously, like, it feels like an ending in the album, but even musically it feels, or lyrically rather, it feels like it's walking down this corridor of life, perhaps to walk through its last door here. Let's listen to this final track here. So the final track is an interesting one, and Joe, you did give me a little bit of heads up on this one, which I thank you for. So the final track is Come On, but there's also a hidden track entitled Deep Freeze as well in here. So we'll, and you gave me the timestamps, which is fantastic. So we'll hit these last two tracks here on the album. Here we go. That bass taking us nicely through this. Starts speaking.
I must be feeling low. I talk to God in a phone box on my way home. I took
riff right there. That right there.
I must be going insane. I called the doctor so he can relieve my pain. It's got a little pill for me, just a little luxury. Help me through my day. Come on, let the spirit inside you. Don't wait to be found. Come along with our sound. Let the spirit move you. Let the wave come on, confuse you. I've never met no one to deny sound.
It's an interesting line. Final round. More guitar, more guitar, more guitar. That is some grit in that yell. Yelling now. This is like the most chill. I mean, this is the big send-off. So we're going to skip now to the hidden track, which, Joe, you said, let's see, the dead end and ends at 1301. Okay, so 1301 is where we need to go to. 13, let's hit 13 right about, we can let it run from right here. There you go. Perfect, thank you, Joe. Perfect. Catching some static. Is that a baby crying? Like manipulated. Now, in my opinion, that final track here, Deep Freeze. Oh, full album reaction. Let me, before I start talking, Urban Hymns, the Verve, completed. And it's a great time. Deep Freeze, a really cool little instrumental hidden track there at the end. That I was wondering, like, why is it called Deep Freeze when it sounds like we have some sort of sampling of a crying baby just manipulated in some capacity? And I don't have an answer for you, but there's kind of a crystallized texture to what's happening back there. And perhaps that acts as, you know, the sound component in Deep Freeze and the relationship between the title and the actual sound that's happening. Going backwards to Come On. Come On is definitely the band going in all fronts, just full forward, putting everything on the table, leaving nothing on the floor, and just going for it. And I'm really impressed, actually, when Ashcroft starts singing there in the near the ending, when he's just like yelling, we get like some throatiness, we get some voice back there, and he's just like very aggressive in that yell. And I like how we got that, because we haven't really gotten that tone from him really in this album. So it's kind of interesting to hear a different side of him at that particular point. But that track really acts as a huge conclusion and a big sonic wave to end this album. So this album doesn't end with a whisper, a drift off. I mean, I guess it kind of does with Deep Freeze, but it truly ends with a big bang, with the band putting every single thing out there. And now this is a song that I could see not only obviously ending the album, but ending a live show, because this feels like one of the ones where all the lights come on and it's just bright white lights showering you with that energy. And even the drums like have a little bit more of a pop to them as well. And as it gets into it, this whole thing, that whole ending is just them, like I said, going to the wall, no foot on the brake. They're hitting you. And I think it's a great way to conclude the album with probably, in a sense, their most energetic and full forward track. I must be feeling low. I talked to God in a phone box on my way home. I told you my answer. I left you my dreams on your answer machine. Come on, let the spirit inside you. Don't wait to be found. Come along with my sound. Let the spirit move you. Let the waves come up. They'll fuse you. I never meant no one to deny a sound. I must be going insane. I called the doctor so he can relieve my pain. He's got a little pill for me, just a little luxury. Help me through the day. He doesn't care where he's going. He needs something. Come on, come on. Plus, besides, there's only one life. Let it go. This is a big F you. Come on. Just love somebody in the back. Come on. We're breaking in. This is really like, the track title is called Come On, and he's just, in every respect, let's just go crazy. just do, this is your life. Do with it what you will. Let's look at the info for this track here. Come on. Let's see. Clark suggested the closing track, Come On, was named after the phrase Ashcroft frequently shouts while on stage. He referred to the song as a battle cry for those that need to hear it, which is actually a great way to put that. Part of the lyrics have him trying to contact God using a phone box. Ashcroft can be heard saying F you, which ends the album. Again, the reason that the phrase was not intended to be negatively, but serving as an extension of the song itself. Just like you said, a battle cry, really. Gallagher of Oasis does the backing vocals. Interesting enough. Okay, so it's Liam Gallagher of Oasis. Not that I've heard a lot from them, but so that's him in this track. Said it shared qualities with Rolling People, such as Ashcroft's ranting vocal style and guitars sounding like Rottweilers. Said it lends a ferocious energy to conclude the album, which I 100% agree with. And Deep Freeze consists of a noise from a radio, incomprehensible dialogue, jangly guitar, and a baby crying. All right, so it was a baby crying. Okay, I wasn't 100% sure. It just sounded like it was. Listen, I think that this is a really fantastic and standout album. There's a little bit of weakness, and I mean like a little bit of weakness, but it's not at all a huge deal whatsoever. This was a really fantastic album, and like every song, no matter what, every song had a strong degree of quality to it. You know, there wasn't a bad song on this album. And the ones that really, really hit that height. And we already know, like I said, what those were. Rolling People, Catching the Butterfly, and This Time. Those are my favorites here on the album. And I think that this was a really fantastic listen. This was really cool. Like I said, hearing two songs from the Verve, but really kind of knowing their one big hit, Bittersweet Symphony. This kind of was cool to kind of hear that expansion of the band and hear a little bit more from them. And it kind of shows me more of what they can do. They have a certain sound, at least in this album, and they really explore that sound in a really thorough and I'd say impressive way, especially with all the guitars being performed here. I thought that was really nice the way they all work together. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the album. Thank you so much for spending the time with me, for spending 2 hours and 18 minutes with me. I appreciate you staying here, sticking by, hopefully enjoying the music, hopefully enjoying in part myself as well. Joe, thank you once again for the suggestion and for the support. Truly, truly appreciate that over-the-top support. It means a great deal to me. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day. Swing on back by tomorrow. And I will see you all later. Bye.